Hello, star travelers. Bless you all and welcome to this lunar cycle overview. It's going to be about the lunar cycle August 23rd to September 21st, 2025. And this August 23rd new moon aligns right over royal star Alpha Leo Regulus, indicating real power and the tests and intensity that go along with it. I know it's been an unbending stream of intensity this year and for a while now. September 7th, full moon, kicks off the last eclipse season of this calendar year with a total lunar eclipse just a few days before lunar perigee. It's when the moon is closest to Earth. So viewers in Europe, Africa, and Asia should be able to catch a glimpse of a big moon in full eclipse. The September 7th eclipse is part of a cycle called Saros Series 9 New South, or simply Saros Series 154. And the origin chart of Saros Series 154 is really interesting because it mirrors features of this full moon chart. And this possibly increases the focus or intensity along certain lines that we'll examine. So we'll look at Saros 154's natal chart too. This video will focus on the new and full moons and, as you know, planetary transits. On this channel, we're using sidereal astrology. So when we talk about a moon on Regulus, the star Alpha Leo, the heart of the lion, we are not talking like tropical about Virgo season. Yeah, in fact, this new moon is very interesting. Keep your eye on it, and I'll just toggle these chart points, and you'll see, keep your eye on it, it is right on Alpha Leo Regulus. Sun and moon meet in Leo, right on Regulus, and they're preceded by Mars in Virgo and the South Node, which they're approaching. They're followed by Mercury in Cancer, Venus right on the Gemini Cancer cusp, Jupiter in Gemini, Uranus in Taurus, and Eris and Chiron conjunct in Pisces, Ceres in Cetus, in the zodiacal degree of Pisces, Saturn and Neptune, the sort of main event for some of us, is conjoined pretty closely, also in Pisces. We have a very active constellation Pisces. And we have Pluto entering into the territory of Capricorn proper in his sort of long, slow journey across the cusp between Sagittarius and Cap. What did I miss? The North Node. Yeah, sneaky, hard to see. The North Node is in Aquarius to make its journey across those stars. And that is the way the heavens look this new moon, August 23rd, 2025. So now we're looking at this same new moon, 23rd August, in 2 dimensions. This chart that you see is a map. It's a map of our system and the stars that surround it. So what I see as primary is this new moon is on fixed star Regulus. That's incredibly important. It's in Leo. That's also generally very important to this month and understanding the waves of energy we'll be experiencing. The new moon is very closely square to Uranus and 1 degree 0.1, and also trine nicely to the Chiron Eris conjunction in late Pisces. We'll look at some other important chart features too, but that's the close conditions, the major relationships that new moon is making. All right, so let's take it in bites. Leo the lion. It's the oldest, if not, then it's one of the oldest recorded star groups. Just one of the first groups of stars that people ever put to an idea or a mythology or an archetype. Leo's been the lion going back 6,000 years. The civilizations of Proto-Sumerian and early Sumerian Mesopotamia charted this constellation as the Great Lion, Ur-Gula, as far back as 4,000 before the Common Era. The ancient Persians referred to this group of stars as Shir. Ancient Turkic people of Central Asia was Artan. Ancient Syrians, Aryo. The Hebrews, Ari, Arye. And in India, it was known as Simha. And all of these mean lion. Those born under the influence of this constellation are often seen as courageous, regal, charismatic, natural leaders who enjoy and can handle being the center of attention. In mundane astrology, Leo represents the power of the individual to shine and to make a mark on the world. So Leo signifies the power of personhood, selfhood, and the ongoing process of giving direction to one's own life as a creative act. Within Leo, this new moon aligns on the most powerful point, the most powerful star in that constellation by leaps and bounds, the royal star Regulus, Alpha Leo. It signifies radiance, power, influence, sovereignty, public display, and relative to the inner journey, it reflects the processes by which we come to sit at the center of our own mandala, so to speak. It reflects the journey to find personal power and the claiming and using of that power and the relationship between selfhood and power. In natal charts, Regulus gives power and success in abundance. It really does, but the nature of Regulus power attracts enemies and people who want to cut and attack because of the power, because of the success. And if you have Regulus power and success in your chart, it can be a force of victory in your life, but it'll at the same time attract people who want to cut you and your success down. But this is understood as a test that comes with the power of Regulus. This is what makes Regulus a royal star. It's a test of revenge to see and know what kind of people will use their power and success to strike back at their detractors, at their enemies, because those who take revenge meet with failure. The power is taken away as surely as it was given. Forgiveness and forbearance represent success in this regard. So Regulus is a very powerful star, a very important star. And partial star knowledge is one of the hallmarks of our era. So if you look up Regulus, you'll learn you'll learn far and wide it's a downfall star associated with disgrace, fall from grace, power doesn't last, it's a bad luck star. And what's really going on here is that another hallmark of our era is a distinct lack of forbearance and forgiveness. And most people simply fail Regulus tests. So in most charts, it signifies downfall because most people can't take the high road, rise above personal attack. And it says more about human nature than it says about Regulus. Regulus is a success star that comes with tests of character. All right. To look at this square that the new Leo moon is making to Uranus in Taurus, I think this is pretty well textbook symbolic of a period of unexpected or potentially disruptive change, particularly in the realm of public life. That's a Uranus function, or the collective consciousness. That's another Uranus function. Could be in the realm of material security or wealth. That's a Taurus territory. And yeah, unexpected, potentially disruptive change in Taurus. It could be market change. It could be market fluctuations. It could be just turbulence of all kinds. Uranus is an interesting influence who's pretty active this month. So we'll look at him, in short bursts throughout this video. That's all I really want to say on the nature of Uranus in relation to the new moon right now. We're looking to the trine to Chiron Eris in late Pisces that the new moon makes. I think this could bring into this month's story for a lot of people. Long held wounds coming to the surface, or processes of healing, maybe deep, maybe extended processes of healing. This combo can also correlate to a lot of self-aggression. It can correlate to a lot of inner chaos around early wounds. So can tending to respond out of anxiety. That's a sort of an Eris Chiron function. It could represent a need to navigate boundaries, to acknowledge vulnerabilities. That could be a very important theme this month, and develop self-compassion in order to move forward successfully. And with this combo trine to new moon, the whole month will serve as a sort of staging ground for our own healing and improved self-relationship. So be aware of the potential for unexpected experiences in regard to Eris. Weird and sort of vulnerable experiences when we bring in Chiron. And also the closeness of the relationship to Uranus. It's gonna make this month a little unexpected, a little weird, a little potentially just abrupt, bizarre, maybe curious at best. These two are pretty chaotic actors, so we have that to consider. In as much as they will affect new moon, and new moon is on Regulus, we may see chaotic or bizarre displays from our leaders at this time and during this cycle. And the new moon makes a yod. We're going to change lanes. Look at this yod between Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto. Major players in this outer planet formation. And and this signifies being driven, or signifies compulsive forces at play, bearing down on the bodies at the head of the yod. So in this case, sun and moon. In this case, collective consciousness, collective evolution. Pluto, Saturn, Neptune correlates outwardly with great societal transformation, and inwardly with stabilizing just new and differently inspired systems, bringing your dream, or beginning to bring your dream into the world. I don't want to say too much about that. That's something we'll address in scattershot throughout too, because it's such a big player. Looking elsewhere, we see Jupiter on fixed star Sirius. It's a relationship that I think comes into more focus when we see that he T-squares Mars opposition to Ceres. And later this month, he'll T-square Mars opposition Eris Chiron. So this idea that Jupiter is applying squares from the zodiacal degree of fixed star Sirius, this is going to create and exacerbate tension between just the emotional health of humans on Earth. That's a Ceres in Pisces function. It's kind of the collective feels, the consciousness at an emotional level, and the force of Mars, square Jupiter on Sirius, which Mars square Jupiter on Sirius looks like overaggression, cruelty, and not knowing when to stop, going too far, inappropriate displays of force, and we have Venus in the mix too, joining the basket by trying to Saturn Neptune, opposition to Pluto, and sextile to Uranus. So bringing some softness, gentleness, some blessing to these very difficult, very demanding processes, very challenging processes indicated by these outer planet relationships. So that's the new moon in essence. Very short essence in the interest of time, but what we have to put all that in one place is very powerfully charged. It's likely to get strange and deranged out there in the world. I mentioned Uranus and Eris. The whole basket is a bit strange and deranged from a certain point of view. I think a yacht applying to a new moon on Regulus is also just an intensely pressurized situation, and what we have is this pressure expressing relative to the structure of power transforming in front of us. Inwardly, it's a call to sovereignty. It's a call to our own personhood and our own authenticity. It's a clarion call to understand selfhood by experiencing it deeply and powerfully, richly and boldly, Leo style. I think that's all I want to say about this moon. Let's move on to the waxing transits. All right. So this is a period of time between the new moon on August 23rd and the full moon on September 7th, which means that August 31st is the waxing quarter moon, and these are the waxing transits of this lunar cycle. The 23rd, very shortly after, the new moon sees Jupiter square to Ceres, and the 24th sees the sun square to Uranus as those relationships perfect. I said lots. Well, no, I didn't, but I said enough about those in the new moon section of this video. I think that this period of time, this couple of days, much like the whole month, could be strange, could be uncomfortable. Jupiter square Ceres could bring powerful feelings. And there's a possible expression of the bizarre and unexpected, just the abrupt, explosive, no warning, no preamble kind of activity when Sun squares Uranus. On August 25th, we see Mercury trine Ceres, Venus trine Saturn, and the next day on the 26th, we see the perfection of Venus sextile Uranus, Venus trine Neptune, and the next day on the 27th, we see Venus oppose Pluto. That is every player in the basket, and Venus perfecting her relationship to them in this short 48-hour period over the 3 days. I know that's 72 hours, but it's the end of the 25th to early on the 27th. And that indicates how close at this time the basket formation of outer planets is. Very, very close. We'll see that in later charts. I think this, by comparison, could be a mellower time. I think the basket, this outer planet thing, is an umbrella that we're just. It's like the umbrella everything's happening under. I mean, you can see that within 0 degree are some major players in that. And to bring Venus into that equation could soften things. But it's just contextual. The outer planets signify great social upheaval and change, a process of years and radical restructuring. We'll look at a chart later in this video of like the last time anything like this happened. And wasn't that far in the past, interestingly. Yeah, patterns. Deep stuff, deep stuff. Let's keep this moving though, and just say this could be a nicer period of time, but yeah, just contextually within the context of all the intensity of the outer planet prerogatives. And as we approach the waxing quarter moon, there's on the 28th, we see Uranus sextile Neptune go exact. So things could be weird, inspired. It's kind of a dreamy peak here on the 28th. It's good for deep work. It's good for visionary work. It's great for meditation. It's good for making inner breakthroughs. If things are just strange, even bizarre, that's a really classic. That's a textbook expression of the combination of these two planets, the surreal, if you will. I think things could seem surreal all the time, but that goes exact on the 28th. Then we see Mercury trine Eris as the waxing quarter moon approaches. This is also good for deep work and breakthroughs. Make no mistake. With all the Uranus activity, though, this month, I think we can expect that as the waxing moon approaches, things could be pretty highly charged, I think, generally speaking. So, because of the context, I would guess that this could really polarize things, and the way Eris polarizes is sort of to create poles, and there's sort of like electrical discharge across the space between those poles is very characteristic of. I mean, you can even think of the patterns that makes as chaotic or iridian or. They're not ordered to sequence. So, Mercury, our mental energy, could be subject to some real anxiety, actually, and kind of bristling with a lot of strange thought as we head toward the waxing quarter moon. And here's that moon, just for people who like to make a full study of the quarterly lunar points. I'm not going to comment much on this. Most of the commentary I would give is in the transit. Oh yeah, and now back with the transits. We see immediately after that moon, so really kind of same day event with that Mercury trine Eris. We see Mars opposite Ceres, and Mars opposite Ceres could potentially harsh the collective feelings. It does have the power to do that. But it can also provide an opportunity to combine in our own lives the energies of Mars and the energies of Ceres. So we could make bold steps to reclaim parts of ourselves lost or alienated, forgotten, numbed, or just generally abandoned parts of ourselves. To stop abandoning ourselves and to be true, right, to our own heart, even if it takes bravery. That's That's an easy expression of the combined energies of Mars and Ceres. But the opposition, especially the Virgo, where Mars sits, and Pisces, where Ceres sits, opposition is a real left brain, right brain. It's a real body mind split where we're often challenged to bridge that gap, to create workable pathways across that chasm, the chasm between the two hemispheres of our brain and the two aspects of our being, the sort of spiritual invisible aspect and the tangible discrete bodily aspect. All of this symbolized in the stars behind Mars and Ceres. So I bring it in here, especially because it'll be a powerful time. It'll be charged. It'll be a waxing moon. So the better we understand these energies and how to use them, the more well prepared we'll be to ride these waves. These could be choppy. All right, moving on to the 3rd of September, we see Mercury square Uranus. Be open to insights. Mercury moves so fast, this will be done within a day, an early morning on the 3rd in my time zone. But Mercury square Uranus could be very insightful, very just explosive. Next level solutions, ideas, inventions. It's very inventive. And then this is happening concordant to longer transit, Mars square Jupiter, between September 2nd and September 7th, which perfects late on the 4th Eastern time. And this is a little more volatile. We talked about Jupiter being on fixed star Sirius. There's a potential to take too much action or inappropriate action or to go too far. So that potential is high, is very high, peaking September 4th. On the first week of September, I would encourage everyone who uses astrology in their lives to be careful about your behavior. Be careful about choices that you make relative to anger, relative to libido. Be careful about how you're expressing masculinity. This is peak time for unchecked and toxic masculinity. So if you see it in others, you may be challenged to address it in a dignified way, or you may be just challenged to experience it at all. Uranus stations retrograde, which doesn't help anything in regard to this. So, what advice would be sort of universally helpful here? Just be careful. Be careful about your behavior. Don't be reactive. And if you must respond, don't fight fire with fire at this time. It's not the medicine. The cycle approaches the full moon on September 7th with last alignment between Venus and Ceres. Venus trine Ceres should be kind of nice. It follows on the Mars opposition series that this week led with. And so the end of the week sees Venus trine Ceres. Should be kinder and gentler, and it could even buffer some of the weirdness of Uranus stationed retrograde. Whoops, high strangeness around the 5th and 6th. Pretty volatile and aggressive time for Venus trine Ceres to show up. That's like a cool drink of water on a hot summer day. That brings us to full moon eclipse. And this part of the video is going to have a couple sections. It's going to take a little time. And unpack some rabbit holes within this full moon. September 7th, it is a lunar eclipse. The moon is on a fixed star, Alpha Phoenix, on Ka. And we have a Leo south node Aquarius North Node axis. There are some other features, as you can see. It's not the only thing happening, but those are the big ones, and that's what we're going to focus on first. So let's break down Leo and Aquarius, because the nodes always function together as a pair, and they always function as an axis. And this axis is in the constellations Leo and Aquarius. It's an axis that sees the energies of the self, that's Leo, sort of balanced with the energies of society, the greater good, if you will, the bigger picture. And we can say that Sun and South Node in Leo correlate with karmic processes involving the expression of personal power, good, bad, and otherwise, those expressions. We can say that a moon and a north node in Aquarius correlate with a natural flow towards the bigger picture, towards the eagle's eye view of the water bearer. The south node here with Sun in Leo tends to diminish what it touches, tends to take something. And Leo is our selfish point of reference. It's our experience as an individual, a person. North node in Aquarius points the way. It shows a need for people to understand selfhood from a higher perspective, to fit your understanding of yourself into the bigger pattern, to recognize where is the appropriate place within the bigger pattern for yourself. And the perspective of Aquarius is very liberation oriented. It doesn't like the parts of selfhood that hold us back from the Aquarian prerogative of freedom. So any of those traits, the sort of bars in the windows of the cell of the prison of self, when self is related to in such ways, those features of your self will be up for review this month, guaranteed. I think the emphasis is on liberation. That's an Aquarian prerogative, and self-centered approaches are very disfavored this month. So we may encounter them at this time. As you know, South Node does have a certain gravity and intensity around it. But, we may encounter people and actions that don't take the whole into consideration, that don't see the big picture. And we may encounter that all month due to the powerful presence of Regulus and Leo in the new moon, because Leo's processes are actually about exploring selfhood. They're about self-exploration. They're about evolving and learning through self-understanding and self-experience. They don't necessarily care about the big picture. So this challenges everybody to step out of that sandbox of selfhood into, at the very least, seeing where yourself fits in to the bigger social or group picture. And this is an eclipse, so this is going to have some other prerogatives too. And this eclipse is part of a series. It's part of Saros 9 New South. And I think that rather than saying a lot about that, we should just switch to that chart right now. This is the origin chart of the Saros Series. So this is Saros Series 9 New South, or Saros 154. They're the same. That's just astronomical and astrological designations for the same cycle. The first eclipse in that cycle was 19th July 1917. Now, I'm sure you history buffs are already going, what? But let's break this down further. First, I I want to make note of a couple things. We have, very interestingly, a Neptune-Saturn conjunction, which Mercury is a part of. So we have very close Neptune-Saturn that mirrors the present day. And we have very close in zodiacal degree Eris and Chiron. Now, Eris is actually pretty deep in the southern skies in Sculptor at this time, but in zodiacal degree, this conjunction is significant, and this does reflect the alignments of today. So we have two conjunctions, and a third, of course, the new moon. We have three close conjunctions that define this chart. All three are resonant with this full moon eclipse, September 7th. Because we have exact sun-moon contact, we have close Neptune-Saturn conjunction, and we have close Eris-Chiron conjunction. So this is a south node eclipse that also brings Mars and Pluto into the territory of eclipse. So we can think of this as the south node eclipsing sun and moon, also eclipsing Pluto and Mars, distorting their expression as a quality of the cycle to follow. They didn't know Pluto yet. It was 1917. Pluto was discovered 1930. But regardless, I mean, nature doesn't care. Nature doesn't care what we know. Bernadette Brady says, this Saros series appears to be concerned with the bringing to the surface of long-term worries about loved ones' health or issues to do with paperwork or communication. This could manifest as a worrying piece of news about a loved one or responsibilities with paperwork coming home to roost. Any news will have a sense of destiny or fatedness about it. Now, you can take that or leave that. I have left that pretty far behind. I'm seeing some different stuff. Brady wasn't looking at Eris Chiron. She wouldn't see the opposition to Ceres, and it's questionable. I believe she's a tropicalist, so she sees the backdrop entirely differently. We don't have to make much of this cusp. But cusps are transitional. They're transition points, and the nature of this transition could be dark, could be manipulative, could be violent. We can say that. We can say that Pluto and that Saturn and Neptune are close. And what I glean from that is obviously different than Bernadette Brady. She's just focused on a little bit different details. Let's take a look at the year 1917. It was a pivotal year in world history. In February of 1917, now that was prior, but point of fact, February 1917 saw the end of 300 years of rule by czars in Russia. It ended with the February Revolution of 1917. In April of 1917, just a couple months prior to this eclipse, Lenin declared that the working class should overthrow the middle class, oust the provisional government, and seize power. A coup. And in October 1917, that's this cycle, this eclipse cycle. October saw the October Revolution, a successful coup by the Bolsheviks. They were Russian Marxists who would later become the Communist Party in Soviet Russia. And in November 1917, Lenin took power as the first communist leader of Soviet Russia. Also, 1917, Also, this eclipse cycle, so the latter half of that year, saw World War One in its fourth year, but this cycle saw the U.S. and China, veritable major powers, declare war on Germany in 1917, getting involved in World War One, U.S. and China. And in an interesting piece of trivia, women secured the right to vote in 1917. And it's commonly taught that the 19th Amendment was ratified in 1920, giving women nationally in the United States the right to vote. But the right to vote for women as a novelty, as a natal event, happened in New York State through some provisional law that gave women there the first right to vote, 3 years before the 19th Amendment. So all this concordant with this sort of like emergent eclipse cycle. This is the beginning, the natal chart of a whole Saros cycle that ends in like the year 3000 or something. So I don't know exactly when it ends, but we're very early in it. We're early in this Saros series. I have said repeatedly, man, this is a rabbit hole alert. We're going to go down a rabbit hole within a rabbit hole. We're already in a rabbit hole. We're in a natal chart of something that happened in 1917, over 100 years ago. And now we're going to deep dive a feature. And that's the Saturn Neptune cycle. And I have said repeatedly that this conjunction is connected to cycles of communism and authoritarianism. And since we're looking at this eclipse that features this conjunction so powerfully, and it's such an important eclipse to its whole cycle, I want to briefly unpack why I make that claim. For you deep divers and researchers, the best info I've found is on this site. I'm going to bring it up, cyclesofhistory.com. And here there'll be a link in the description below. We're looking at Saturn and Neptune cycles, their relationship to the Soviet Union, South Africa, U.S. racial desegregation, Israel-Palestine, very relevant to Israel-Palestine, and so on. This is a really wonderful site. It's interestingly not an astrology site, but I wanna unpack some of the correlations that are here, and this researcher has found links to a lot of interesting stuff. I encourage you to check this out. Navigate here to cyclesofhistory.com. Yeah, there is a great page on the 36-year cycle of Saturn and Neptune, their synodic period, or the period between conjunctions, 36 years. So yeah, this is a great resource if you're looking at the code of reality, the way things happen in cyclic and periodic ways. I love this site. I love the surprise that's presented to researchers who discover that history is like blatantly and flagrantly, like obviously, a matter of cyclical periodicity. And this charts the flagrant cyclical periodicity like a boss. I want to commend the architect of this website for your fantastic research. Anyway, moving on. These bullet points, they come from this site. So thank you. I'm just going to go through the bullet points. Let's see. Put my big head on the screen because bullet points are gonna come up. In 1846, Saturn and Neptune conjoined. So that's like a new moon. That's like a seed energy. Marx and Engels published the Communist Manifesto, concordant with the 1846 conjunction. Then in 1862, there was an opposition, like a full moon expression, like the fruition of that seed. At that time, serfs in Russia and slaves in America were emancipated. In 1882, there was a conjunction, and in Russia, the industrial strike started. In the UK, the Fabian Democratic Socialism was initiated, the party, and that conjunction was followed by an 1899 opposition, which saw the Russian Social Democratic and Revolutionary parties established. In 1917, there was a conjunction, and the Russian Revolution overthrew the Tsar. Lenin ruled and Stalin rose. We just saw the chart of the eclipse. We have the opposition in 1936, which followed the Russian Revolution, and that saw Stalin's purges and the show trials. It also saw the Chinese Communists' Long March. For those unfamiliar, Chiang Kai-shek, what's relevant? That was where Mao emerged as a figure, as relevant, as important, the Communist Long March. In 1953, the conjunction saw Stalin's death. It saw Czech and East German revolts. In 1971, the opposition saw the SALT nuclear arms agreement and détente relax the Cold War. The 1989 conjunction, which is pretty special, and we'll look at that. That'll be the third rabbit hole deep. But this 1989 conjunction saw the fall of the Berlin Wall. It saw Russian communism and the Soviet Union end. Just the end of all that. Amazing chart. We're going to look at that later. But just to put a pin in this, the 2007 opposition saw formerly communist nations like Romania and Bulgaria join the EU and embrace, market capitalism to great extent. Then that was followed by a conjunction, which we're approaching very close in the approach now. It will go exact February 2026, and the February 2026 conjunction we don't really have information on, but I want to say that it's marked so far, we can say Trumpism and reform in the US, authoritarian reform in the United States, and in all the communist countries right now. Except North Korea, we're seeing market Leninism. We're seeing them embrace a competitive market with choices and options and a diverse marketplace, while maintaining a centralized control as a government. Market Leninism. North Korea still carefully constructs everything, but communism is leaning a little bit west, while America is leaning right. So, leaning authoritarian. Trumpism is very strange, and that's its own discussion. But I want to go down a rabbit hole and show a chart that is really, really wonderful. It is the Saturn Neptune conjunction of 1989. And let's see. Here we have Saturn and Neptune meeting at 15 degrees Sagittarius, which is like fixed star Nunki. Ooh, powerful star. Fixed star Nunki. But here's the interesting thing. It makes a basket. Now it's with Uranus in conjunction. Uranus is almost 8 degrees Sag, so 7 degrees away. But it sextiles Pluto, and it mirrors this basket that we're experiencing now when we go back to the we go back to the charts, we'll go back to the full moon chart right after this, and you'll see that instead of a sextile to Uranus, we have in 1989 a sextile to the sun in Aquarius. It's a suitable surrogate. That's power. That's the power you need to make real transformation. So what happened was the end of Russia. It was the end of the Soviet Union, excuse me. It was the end of Russian communism. It was the fall of the Berlin Wall. It was just radical, massive social change. And it was the last time we had this formation that mirrors the current formation with powerful Aquarian, Uranian, Plutonian energies surrounding the Saturn Neptune conjunction. All right, so here we are back at the full moon anyway, and what is relevant? The moon is on an awesome star, fixed star Anka. That's Alpha Phoenix, about half a degree away from the zodiacal degree of Phoenix, Anka. And this star is really resonant with reemergence, rising from the ashes of previous experience. Anka doesn't really represent a pleasant or an easy process. It's the process of the phoenix, but its influence is generally interpreted very constructively. And it's like a death rebirth star. So there's an urge to move like beyond ourselves, to be kind of reborn as like kind of freer, less self-obsessed, less narcissistic versions of ourselves. This month, this change, this could ask us to do that, even maybe sacrifice our pride, as it were, in some situations. That could be like a worst case scenario for really the higher angels of society. Not the group think, but the really that we're all in this together. That reflects truth. Very high truth, interconnectedness and interdependence and all those things that Aquarius represents. Other features of this full moon include Jupiter supporting, trining moon, sextiling sun, and supports with optimism and hope, winds of general success. It's from Gemini, so Jupiter is pretty activated here. Also from Gemini, T-squaring Mars and Eris for the full moon. Yeah, and this emphasizes the squares really push too far. They take too far. They tend to overextend and then overreach. Don't know when to quite pull back or quit. Tends to be the problem presented by the square. And we have Eris, Chiron, Mars opposition. I think we can say that that this holds the power to wound. This holds the power to create wounds. And a clue or a breadcrumb here is Jupiter is in Gemini. He's actually on Alpha Gemini. And this indicates victory in the realm of the mental, in the realm of information, in the realm of communication. While the opposition from Pisces to Virgo is, and that's made by Eris Mars opposition. That's significant of the balance between body, Virgo, and spirit, Pisces. Left brain, Virgo, and right brain processes, Pisces. So this split could really be pushed, and we could really have our brain boggled, especially with the idea that the new moon is square Uranus and trine Eris. That's simply a lot. That's just the recipe is for intensity this month. And so we can expect that this eclipse will, relative to the geopolitical stage on Earth, there is an overwhelming amount of intensity. And I think pivotal events. News fatigue is happening everywhere right now. It's just too intense. It's everything is, whether war or it's crazy. Everything's crazy. And this eclipse and this eclipse cycle are ushering in a time wave that looks like that will continue. Inwardly, the application of Mars purifying Virgo fire, the fire of purification, can really bring a lot of awareness and critical agency to blind spots caused by our own deep wounds. That's the textbook here. That's the cookbook. This has the potential to be very freeing, but it's going to involve a little bit difficult gymnastics. So I want to look at the obstacle that needs to be hurdled, Jupiter. Jupiter no longer on Sirius, but now on Castor, a major star. So still potent, still potent. The advice I would give for people who want to do this kind of work, inner work, taking bold steps, bold Martian steps of purification into your inner wounds and the chaos of your deep psyche, be cautious, be prudent, and use the common sense. Don't go too far. That's the caution with Jupiter square. So square Chiron, the potential to re-traumatize exists alongside the potential to really make healing breakthrough. They come together. So if you're doing powerful healing work, it's a time to use caution and avoid any feelings that tell you're approaching the red line. You're going too far into that material if you work with it directly. It's a time where some of us will choose to work with it directly, and some of us will need to work with it directly. But Jupiter squares are blessings in disguise, and challenges can be worth navigating. And here we're looking at the period of time between the full moon that we just looked at, September 7th, and the next new moon, September 21st. The waning quarter will be on the 14th, which means that the third week of this lunation is kind of a bye. It looks pretty chill. I mean, with the exception of all this crazy that is happening stateside and worldwide and in everyone's deep mind. This will affect the feelings, the thinkings, the life. We still see sextiles, Mercury and Sun to Jupiter on the 12th. We see Sun conjoined Mercury on the 13th. So very positive, very supportive, very optimistic period of time, very buoyant period of time where Mercury combust could make communication a bit strange. It's like always hard to say exactly how it might be strange. It's often timing with like listening and speaking and just like knowing when to do which. It's as if Mercury gets really excited when he gets combust. He just can't listen or wants to speak or just too much or sometimes too little. It affects me personally more than retrogrades do. But we're all a little different in that regard. So Mercury will be combust on the 13th and sextile with the Sun 12th. Then we have waning quarter moon on the 14th. So we'll take a look at that chart. And here's the last quarter moon. Everything looks pretty intense. There are a lot of major stars activated, and I'll just leave this up here for people's personal study, edification. Yeah. All right, we're back in the waning transits. Let's check this out. We're here on the 15th of September. Mars is opposite to Eris, Venus trine sextiles the Mars-Eris opposition. And this all is kind of one formation that really hits September 15th. So Mars is on Spica, Alpha Virgo Spica, a blessing star, a success star. It's a gift. Spica is a gift. Venus also naturally provides a lot of blessing here, but Mars opposite Eris Chiron, like I said, it holds painful potential. It's a good day to guard your words. It's a good day, the 15th, to guard your temper. Remember to be polite and decent people. You know, this ground level advice is the simple things that go the longest way. It's always in the little things, but in this case, it's not about some heady abstract astrological concept. On the 15th, it's just a good day to mind your manners. Things could be really hot. Again, don't fight fire with fire. Not on this one. Not when Mars and Eris get opposite. The potential for someone to get hurt is too high. Venus will help us to de-escalate and diffuse any situations that threaten to disrupt the sanctity of our surroundings, space. And moving forward, we see Mercury opposite Saturn on September 17th, and Mercury opposite Neptune on the 18th, and Saturn and Neptune then are a pair, so we'll kind of lump that together, and we can lump it in with Mercury making a grand trine to the whole basket. So what we're seeing here is that Mercury is opposing the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, making grand trine from Virgo, early Virgo, to Pluto and Uranus. And this will emphasize and center a lot of things: commerce, communication, and just thinking. Attention. It will center attention on the ongoing changes, for sure, and it'll pave the way. It sort of sets the tone for the next new moon, because the next new moon will happen in this degree, opposing Saturn Neptune. So this could be a wave from the 17th through the 21st. Could be a wave of really brilliant insight for some, and abject depression about the changing global atmosphere for others, and possibly both at once. It could be much more than that, but those are the common, like the textbook expressions. Change and transformation are the actions, and the mercurial realm is the stage. And as we get closer to that 21st date of the next new moon, we have a Venus square Uranus relationship, and the Sun opposes Saturn, one of the distinct characteristics of the next new moon is the closeness of the Sun-Saturn opposition. Venus square Uranus is famous for forcing relationship changes, and that doesn't mean endings, but it means the people in the relationship evolve, and they evolve by changing, often taking some form of compromise, but not limited to. The square is famous for forcing it, like kind of forcing the change. Like it'll raise issues that, like if the relationship doesn't change, it's just too uncomfortable, or it could threaten to end. So just be aware of that around the 20th. That's a really classic expression of this alignment to correlate with communication, interpersonal and romantic relationship growth edges, the unexpected kind too. So Sun Saturn, it's a yearly passage, Sun opposite Saturn. And this correlates, this one coincides really closely with the next new moon, September 1st. So as the month winds down, I think we can expect to to really see things increase in intensity and maybe even in difficulty. Sun opposite Saturn is, like I said, it's a yearly passage, but this one coincides with the next new moon, so it's going to help define an entire lunation. And now let's check out the next new moon. And here we have the sun and moon meeting at 5:51 Virgo, opposite Saturn Neptune. Oof. What will that look like? We're also grand trine to Uranus Pluto. There's going to be a reckoning. There's going to be change. There's going to be something going to give. It's gotta. Big stuff. We'll check it out next month. All right. Thanks for hanging in this long. I appreciate you all. I encourage you to do YouTube things like and subscribe to the channel, and yeah, check out my website. All that stuff. There's some cool news. There's some big news. There is an event happening in September. The first annual ISAA conference. That's an astrology conference. Here we have the International Sidereal Astrology Association, first annual Sidereal Astrology Conference. We'll have to fix that typo and spell sidereal right so that we look professional. Believe me, we are very professional, and you will witness the fitness if you are present at this event. It's going to be a live Zoom conference, and it's going to be free. So yeah, cool. No excuse not to be there. The site, which there'll be linked down there in the description, is siderealinternational.org. I'll link especially to their info page on the conference. 2026 Priestess Press calendar is that's in effect. There's a link, also a link in the description. Do I have anything up? Priestess Press? No, I have no visual on that. But go to this link at linktree/priestess.press, and awesome products and tools available there. Thank you, Rio, for all your hard work. Mastering the Zodiac released, or will release, a new set of web tools. Very exciting. According to an August 11th update, let's see, an August 11th update, Mastering the Zodiac is set to release True Sky web tools. And according to an August 11th update, it would be released within the next 2 weeks. So a lot of you watching this will, have access to that. To quote from the presser, the insider's newsletter report, the two most important sentences and ideas: True Sky will be available by monthly subscription for $15 and includes tools for casting charts, doing transits, solar returns, synastry, and composite charts, and more. So the other important thing to note about this is, because the software is browser based, these are web tools, Mac users will no longer need to use a virtual desktop running Windows. That's a nice plus. And honestly, there's a lot of advantage to web tools. This is going to open up browser based True Sky astrology to people with cellular devices, people with Android tablets and Chromebooks, people with iPads. Will now be able to incorporate a lot. And we're just starting here More information, link in the description below. I'll link right to the presser, the insider report. And this is being developed independently of Capricorn Prometheus. So I do encourage early testing support. I encourage early adoption, as this will be needed for growth. They need feedback, they need support, because this could be developed more robustly without the health concerns that affect Capricorn Prometheus development. Elsewhere in True Sky Astrology, noteworthy events. The Stellar Foundations course takes off again September 8th, 2025. Yeah, we have drdanny.com /courses. So the Prometheus server is currently down. The Stellar Foundations course really leans heavily on Capricorn Prometheus, but maybe we'll use MTZ's new True Sky tools for this. Who knows? Who knows? The reason I say we is because I'm on the team with Dr. Danny. I provide software instruction and tech support for the Stellar Foundations class. And it brings me back around to my own work. There it is. On skyastro.com. Please do visit my site, learn about, this kind of astrology, true sky, true sidereal, what have you. Constellational astrology by any name smells as sweet. And the evolutionary angle is very interesting because most evolutionary work, while it has an origin in Swami Sri Yukteswar's transmission, if you will, to Jeffrey Wolf Green, it is practiced widely by tropicalists and not many other people. So, we're taking the logic, we who are doing this, I'm not the only one, but some people have taken the logic of evolutionary astrology and heretically applied it to the actual sky. Amaze. So that's cool. You can read about it on skyastro.com. And I've said a lot. I'm sure you've got other videos to watch on YouTube, and I don't want to take up any more of your valuable time. Thank you, Star Fam, for your attention to the mysteries of astrology.